All right, let's just get into it. We need to have a serious talk about February. You know, that month that shows up every year, hangs around for about 28 days, maybe 29 if it's feeling generous, and then just vanishes. It's the shortest, it's the weirdest, it's basically the runt of the calendar. And trust me, this wasn't some brilliant design. Oh no, it is a glorious 1,000-year-old mess.
And I do mean broken. It's a glitch in the system that we've all just decided to live with. So, how did we get stuck with this weird, stubby little month? Well, the short answer involves a whole lot of Roman superstition and a healthy dose of political corruption. But the long answer? Oh, the long answer is so much more wonderfully bizarre.
So it all starts with this number. This right here is the problem. It's how long it actually takes the Earth to go around the sun one time. And just look at it. It's not a clean 365. It's got this annoying decimal hanging off the end. See, the universe really doesn't care about our need for things to be neat and tidy. And this little fraction, this tiny cosmic inconvenience, is the root cause of all our calendar headaches.
To deal with that messy number, humanity came up with this brilliantly clumsy idea called intercalation. It's just a fancy technical term for a software patch. You know, a kludge. It's a workaround that we've been applying to time itself for thousands of years, just to stop our seasons from completely sliding off the rails.
And pretty much every ancient culture had its own version of this patch. The Egyptians were kind of straightforward about it. They just tacked 5 extra days on the end of the year. Simple enough. But the Chinese and the Hebrews, they went all in. Instead of just one day, they jammed an entire extra month into their calendars every couple of years. The Hebrews even decided when to do it by, I kid you not, checking if the barley was ripe. Now that's what I call an agricultural operating system.
But if you want to find the real reason our calendar is so messed up, you have to go to ancient Rome. Because this is where the story stops being about astronomy and math, and it takes a very sharp turn into pure, unadulterated human absurdity. This is the origin story of February's weirdness. And here we go. This is the whole foundation of the problem. The original Roman calendar wasn't based on some grand cosmic formula. Nope, it was based on vibes. And the main vibe was even numbers are bad. Seriously, that was the science behind it.
So to avoid ticking off the gods, they made almost every single month an odd number of days long, either 29 or 31. But you know, the math for a full year just wouldn't work out. One month had to take the hit. One month had to be the unlucky one. And that month was February. Why? Well, it was already the month for rituals honoring the dead. So I guess the thinking was, it's already gloomy. A little extra bad luck can't hurt. They're already dead. What are they going to do, die again?
And their fix for when the calendar got too out of sync was just as weird. They had this extra month called Mercedonius. But did they add it to the end of the year? Of course not. That would be logical. Instead, they would stop February on the 23rd, wedge this entire 27-day month right in the middle, and then tack the last 5 days of February onto the end of that. It's like performing brain surgery with a hammer.
But here's where it moves from just superstitious nonsense to being straight up corrupt. Who got to decide when to add this extra month? Not an astronomer, not a mathematician, but a politician, the Pontifex Maximus. So if he wanted to keep his buddies in office a little longer, boom, he'd declare Mercedonius and just extend the year. If he wanted to cut an opponent's term short, whoops, guess we're skipping it this time. They weren't just managing time, they were weaponizing it for political gain.
By the time Julius Caesar showed up, the Roman calendar was an absolute dumpster fire, completely adrift from the actual seasons. So he decided to do what any good dictator would do, step in and impose some rational, logical order on all the chaos. And his plan, you have to admit, was beautiful. It was elegant, he talked to an astronomer, and they created a system based purely on the sun, a 365-day year. And to fix that annoying little decimal problem, just add 1 extra day every 4 years. That's it. It's clean, it's based on a rule, no more politicians messing with it. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
Oh right, humans. His priests immediately misunderstood the very simple instructions and then proceeded to get it wrong for the next 3.5 decades.
So here's what happened. Caesar said add a leap day every 4th year, but the Romans had this thing called inclusive counting, where they counted the starting number. So for them, every 4th year meant 1, 2, 3, add a day. They were adding leap days every 3 years instead of 4. It got so bad that Emperor Augustus had to just cancel all leap years for more than a decade just to let the calendar catch up. So once they finally figured out when to add the leap day, they still had to decide where to put it. Now, you and I would think, okay, just add February 29th, right? Simple, obvious. Well, naturally, that's not what they did.
Yeah. They just had two February 24th. You see, the original date was known as the sixth day before the 1st of March. So the leap day was just the doubled sixth day. It was called the bissextile day. So for centuries, leap years didn't even have a February 29th. They just had a really, really long February 24th.
Okay, let's fast forward about 1,500 years. Caesar's fix was good. I mean, it was a huge improvement, but his math was still a tiny bit off. His year was about 11 minutes too long. And after a millennium and a half, well, those minutes started to add up. It was time for the next big system update.
And this is what that tiny error caused. By the year 1582, the spring equinox, the official start of spring, had drifted backwards by 10 whole days. Now, this was a massive problem for the church because the date of the equinox is absolutely critical for figuring out the date of Easter, and an Easter that kept slowly drifting toward the middle of summer, that was just not going to work.
So, Pope Gregory XIII rolled out a two-part plan to fix it once and for all. First, a hard reset. Just rip the Band-Aid off and get the seasons back where they belong. And second, create a much more precise rule for leap years so this drift would never happen again. And that hard reset was dramatic. By official papal decree, the entire Catholic world went to sleep on Thursday, October 4th, and woke up on Friday, October 15th. 10 days just gone, deleted from the timeline. Can you imagine the chaos and confusion?
And this is the truly elegant bit of code he installed, the rule we still use today. A year is a leap year if you can divide it by 4, except for years you can divide by 100, like 1900, unless you can also divide that year by 400, like the year 2000. This tiny little adjustment makes our calendar almost perfectly aligned with the sun. It's a fantastic piece of long-term problem solving.
So after all of that history, all that chaos, what have we learned? What is our calendar? And what on earth is February? Well, the answer is pretty simple. It's a kludge, a brilliant one, a functional one that mostly works, but at its heart, it is a system that has been cobbled together over centuries.
When you really boil it down, February isn't short for any good logical reason. It's the end product of a messy solar year, a Roman fear of even numbers, the raw ambition of politicians who wanted to rig the system, and a whole series of increasingly clever math fixes layered on top of each other for 2,000 years.
And this, right here, this is the real takeaway. We think of the calendar as this permanent, unchangeable law of nature. But it's not. It is an invention. It's a completely human-made system designed to force some kind of order onto a universe that, frankly, couldn't care less about our schedules.
So the next time you flip your calendar over to February, just remember, it's absolutely bizarre history. Our whole system for keeping time is just a series of patches built on top of older patches going back thousands of years. And it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other normal things in our world are just as weird, just as arbitrary, and just as much of a glorious historical mess?